Santiago Arana is a successful entrepreneur and real estate agent from Los Angeles. To date, he has closed over $4 billion in real estate. He is the #1 agent in Brentwood, #3 agent in California, and one of the top 10 agents in the United States. You can see Santiago on the Netflix show Buying Beverly Hills, where he is selling homes to the rich and famous. Today, I want to talk about his personal career, his mindset, his visions, and his secrets to success. When I saw Santiago's video on Instagram talking about the book Think and Grow Rich, I wanted to interview him right away. And now I want to know how rich he thinks and how much he has grown and outgrown an older version of himself. Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich in 1937. And here we are, thanks to his work 86 years later, talking about the big influence of his work. Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Wow. You know, it's very nice to have you here. Thank you so much for your time. You caught my attention when I saw the video on Instagram where you were talking about the book Think and Grow Rich. So please tell me your story. Who were you before? And how has this book influenced you in your life?
Life prior the book and after the book?
Yes, I want to know who you were before.
I stumbled upon this book. I can't recall exactly where was it. I think I was listening to some sort of audiobook or cassette at the time, or actually CDs for the car. I want to say it was the teachings of Abraham with like Esther and Abraham Hicks. Jerry and Esther Hicks, and Jerry in one of the first tapes that they presented talks about this book and raised curiosity on me immediately. And not far from here, I used to live actually 5 minutes from here, and I was driving in my car, and there used to be a Barnes and Nobles right on La Cienega and a few blocks from here. And as soon as I heard that, something inside me told me to stop and buy that book. So I stopped. I remember buying the book. I still have that book. It's almost falling apart because I read the book every year once. I read the book every year once, and now I actually teach a course about the book once a year for my company. What the book really did to me was to open up my mind and help me understand that the power of the mind, really. While the title says Think and Grow Rich, and a lot of people can relate to that on how much money you can make by reading this book.
Yeah, you think rich
exactly.
And you grow rich.
And
right?
at the time, I was very new in LA. That was my first year in LA. It was my first year in real estate. I was waiting tables at the time, and obviously I did wanted to have more money. So I bought it and I read it. And what's great about this book, and I guess it can be applied to any books, but this one in particular for me, in my experience, is that what I read that year and I found something that was useful and I used it, it was completely different what I read the next year. And it's completely different what I read the next year. And it's been, I want to say, probably 18 years that I've been reading this book. And every year that I read it, there is something new in there.
So why do you think that there is something new, but actually you cannot change the book? The book is already written.
The book's not changing.
Who has changed?
Me. Yeah.
Aha, here we go.
So that's what it is. You read something and then you come back to the book and you read again. And there was something in there that you really didn't pay attention to, right? It didn't really resonate with you. You didn't really understood, could say at the time. But then next year you come back different. You come back more mature. You come back with a different outlook of life. Maybe you come back with different needs.
Yeah.
And then you find messages hidden in this book, amazing messages hidden in the book that let you understand that you are growing as a person. You are changing as a person. You're wanting new things. And while this started as a manual to make money, really for me, the understanding that richness doesn't come from money necessarily. And then the power of this book is to teach you how you can be rich without money. Being rich doesn't necessarily have to completely relate to money, although we live in a world where, yes, we need money to go and run around. And actually money, like the book says, allows you to develop, the higher potential of yourself, whether it's you're an artist and you have access to better stuff to, potentially express yourself better, learn better things, go see the world and get to understand new cultures and different things. You do need money for that. you also get to understand that you can use the power of your mind to not only attract money, but to create life, to attract the right partner, to also become something better. And if you have children, you can pass the message to your children. You can pass the message to your company, which is what I do, through your experiences, like the experiences that this book has presented to me. I love to share with people that are close to me and with people that want to hear it, because they're real life experiences. And I applied the concept of this book, and they worked. They worked really well, and they worked so well, and they continue to work so well. Now you mentioned selling over $4 billion in real estate and all that. I'm still reading the book, and I'm still finding value in it.
When I see this, actually, like $4 billion in real estate, you're working with Lady Gaga, LeBron James, just to name few, like name droppings. That means that your awareness level is totally on a different level than it was before, like 20 years ago. So what was the major principle in the book that you applied to be here where you are today?
One of the biggest ones for me really was life-changing, because I grew up a Catholic in Latin America. I was born in Bolivia.
With Balkan roots.
Yes.
I can't believe it, but he is from Croatia. You are.
My mother is from Croatia, yes.
I can't believe it. I always attracting like Balkan people here in LA.
Great. So, we get to find each other wherever we are,
Yeah, and we always support each other, bro.
That's right.
Yes,
yeah.
we support each other.
It's true. So, one of the things that was very, very big, and it hit me really, I don't remember at what point, what year or what reading, it was the third or fourth time I read the book, it was the chapter of faith, And it really hit me when it said that you cannot have faith and fear at the same time, because one of the worst things, one of the destroyers of the world is the fear. You live your life coming from a place of fear, nothing good comes out of that. I personally stopped watching the news about 15 years ago, because I found out that I was being inundated with fear. And I refuse to live my life like that. I think when you wake up every morning, you have a choice to live either on fear, or you have a choice to live, fearless. And the more deep I go into the mind and the teachings and the work I do, and all the people that I follow, the Joe Dispensas, which is a good friend of mine, and other things, you come to understand that fear and faith cannot coexist. You can have faith and a little bit of fear, because then it kind of defeats it, right? It's contradictory. So you either are fearful or you are faithful. And when you choose to live in faith, when you choose to live life by the principles of faith, and to trust that there is a God, there is a higher power, there is a source out there that takes care of you, out of the sudden the world starts to unfold in your favor. You start meeting the right people, the right situations, the right circumstances, the right ideas come to you, and life really changes. As opposed to if you're inundated by the news, by the bad stuff, it's good to be informed, right? You got to be informed.
Or misinformed in that case.
But in those cases, you don't really know where the information is coming from, or what goals that they have on giving you the information they want to give you. So I encourage people to be very careful where they get the information from, to be informed, but not to be inundated with negativity. So for me, that was a big one, the chapter of faith and living in faith,
that. Yeah.
And growing up as Catholic in South America, you always hear faith and you relate it to a religious connotation, right? Which there is, right? I mean, the Bible, and you hear about faith and all this, but it's not just religious related. It's a trust. It's trusting on something, trusting in yourself, trusting on your friends, trusting in your colleagues, trusting in your family. To me, that's all faith, and that's a choice. I think you make the choice of living that way.
How can someone practice faith?
Because it's very easy.
How?
I mean, you just have to take a leap of faith and have faith, I mean, wake up in the morning and know that you go out in the world and do the best you can that day. And that's all you can do. And that's all you have control over it. What's happening in the stock market, what's happening in the economy, what's happening in the war, what's happening out there is really not under our control. And there's nothing we can directly do to change those circumstances. But what you do have control over is the way how you feel. And what you do have control is what thoughts you have in your mind, which ultimately, thoughts are the language of the mind, and feelings are the language of the heart. So if you can control what you think, and then you start reshaping the way how you feel, and that's the way I live.
I like that. I mean, that's the way I live as well.
Right.
It's interesting. Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't be here today. Are you a religious person?
I am not a religious person.
What
but
do you believe?
I believe that there is a God. I believe that there is a bigger power that we all part of it, and that we all come from it, and we all come to express ourselves in this short trip that is called life, and then we're all going to go back to that. I will consider myself more a spiritual person than a religious person.
And how is your family reacting to a spiritual person, not to a religious person?
Yeah, I don't think...
For the listeners out there, when you start being in this spiritual world, a lot of people think you're crazy. I think you can relate to that, right?
I think the world's changed a little bit since that. I think there are very few places and very, very conservative places that they can feel that way. But I think that there is a big shift in the world now where it's not seen that way anymore. Plus, I don't discount any religion. I admire many religions. I admire Judaism and the things that they practice. I love Shabbat. I think that's an incredible tradition or thing that they practice on Fridays, where everybody drops anything that they're doing because they know that Friday they need to come and meet the family and share their week or their day and share with the family and have a nice dinner and turn off their cell phone. So every religion has great stuff. I don't think that religion is bad. I just think that, for me, I didn't want to be locked up to one. I wanted to be open to be able to practice if I wanted, or grab information from the ones that resonated with me and the parts that resonated with me, Remember when I was a little kid, for me, going to church was torture, right? Is go and sit there and listen. And if you're doing something that you're not enjoying, then I don't understand what the point is on that. But there are a lot of things that I do appreciate of religion, So
when was the turning point in your life where you started to understand that the inner power is actually what you put out in the world, and that's how you attract things to you? Because as you know, you attract what you are, not what you think. You have to become it, right?
That's correct. Well, I can say that, we talked about briefly when I got here about LA, how it can be a tough city.
Is that true that you didn't speak English at this point when you moved to LA?
When I moved to LA, I already spoke English. I moved to United States. I moved to Santa Barbara, and I was living in Santa Barbara for about a year.
Nice neighborhood.
It's nice, yeah.
Are you selling houses over there?
No. I was a busboy. I was cleaning tables. I didn't speak English, and I had $120. So I was far from speaking the language.
Totally different world.
Yes.
Let's start from scratch.
From scratch. So
yeah.
We can say that at the moment that I moved here, and the original plan was to come and learn English, to go back and take a scholarship that I got for a master degree on finance that was only taught in English, and in Hebrew, which I didn't speak either. In Israel, actually, it was a scholarship. My father went and studied in a kibbutz, and I think he had some sort of great contribution, and the kibbutz said, if you have a kid, we'd like to offer study for him, whatever. So they remembered that, and I applied for the scholarship, and I got it, but I needed to learn one of the languages. So I left Bolivia. I came here to live on my aunt's couch. I called my mom, and she told me, I have a cousin that maybe she wants to take you for a little bit, and she offered me a couch for 8 months. So that's what I was doing, really. I was going at an adult school at night it was the program ESL, is English as single language. It was free, and it was for adults at night. And in the daytime, because I ran out of $120 very quick, I was bussing tables because I couldn't communicate. So I was limited to just cleaning tables and doing stuff like that. And then eventually, I picked up the language, I learned, I became, a waiter. I started waiting tables in that restaurant and then moved to LA. And when I moved to LA, started to, feel that I didn't want to go back. And I saw, and I was exposed to a completely different world than when I grew up. And I started awakening an ambition and a curiosity for what's possible here. Waiting tables with someone will come and drop $100,000 for dinner. For me, was like, how is this possible, right? But it was a curiosity to be like, what do you need to do to go out to dinner with your family of 10 people and spend $100,000 for dinner? It was that curiosity that led me to dig in and look for and wanting to learn about this, So when you get into this world and trying to figure it out, and you're not from here and you don't know anyone, and you're trying to figure out, okay, so how can I make more money? How can I be more successful? And how can I get to stay here and afford life in LA, which is very expensive? A lot of things get tested, your personality, your strength, your mind. And when you get tested and you are in a dark place, or when you are in a vulnerable place, you have options, right? You can make choices, and every choice comes with a repercussion, right? Good, bad ones, small ones, big ones. So I chose to wanting to learn, and I developed this insatiable hunger for learning and wanting to know more and wanting to understand how these people live life. So I started to listening to tapes. I remember my mother-in-law at the time gave me and my ex-wife the DVD, The Secret, and I remember watching that and crying. And
like, when was that? 2014?
Well, that was 2004.
4? Oh, wow.
Oh, 5. And I remember watching that and being like, and the same thing happened with all these books, with Think and Grow Rich and Ask and It's Given. And it was that kind of frustration and questioning why nobody taught me this before. Why nobody told me that I have the choice, and why nobody told me that I have the power of my mind and I can create my reality with that. Why is it that they don't teach this until these days in schools? I mean, that book should be put in high school. I mean, every kid in high school should read this concept, these books. I mean, there's not really anything religious about it. There's science behind it. That finally now is starting to come out that the way how you think makes you feel a certain way. And the way you feel influences everything. Influences your body, influences the chemicals that you release from your brain, and influences reality. It influences the reality that you can create in your life, right?
Yeah.
So when I started discovering this, for me it was like this insatiable hunger to want to learn and know more. And not only that, I wanted to apply it and see, okay, how does this work? And it works, right? And
what was the first thing you did?
So,
it's like when you read The Secret, I do coachings as well, by the way. And I also went to schools to coach kids like third grade. And I also coached a family now in Switzerland. The outcome is absolutely amazing. And it's interesting to talk to these kids when you see that they have no level of self-esteem. I think that this is number one, building up a self-esteem, right?
Yeah.
Level on a certain...
Absolutely.
So what was it with you back then? Like when you discovered it, there's so much information in that book, The Secret, but there is no direction what actually is the next step to do, except for just feel good.
Right.
But actually, they're not lying to you.
Right.
You should feel good in order to create.
Yeah. So for me, it was like in everything, right? You need to test it. So I wanted to put it to the test. So one of the things that I resonate with in the beginning most, and I still do right now, is visualization, right? For me, it was a lot easier, and I'm a big meditator now, and I meditate twice a day, a couple hours a day. But one of the most fun things for me to do was visualize. It was just basically, I remember sitting every night before I go to bed and think about how my 40th birthday was going to be, and where I was going to be, and with who I was going to be, and what I was going to be eating, and what I was going to be wearing, and what kind of food there was going to be on the table, and
very into details.
And what kind of speech I was saying, and every single detail. What kind of house I'll be sitting, what was the view from that house, did I have a garage, what kind of cars were in my garage. Like literally, the more down to the detail that you can be, and the more specific you can be, the better. Clear messages to the universe, and that's why you need to be careful sometimes, because you can think or feel or a thought or a feeling of something that you don't want indirectly, and that's going to manifest in your life. So you need to be clear about what messages you want to send out there, right? So I wanted to test it. So I started to testing it by putting goals, okay, which were at the time in the form of like,
Small things or big things?
yeah, small, big ones, long-term, short-term, you need to have all kinds of goals, right? And so setting goals, first of all, was the most important thing, right? To have a direction, right? If you don't have a goal, how would you know where you're going? I mean, like I heard, I think, from Tony Robbins, said like, what it was, I can't remember. So I'm going to make an analogy of my own. Okay, so if you call an Uber, right, and you tell the Uber, take me somewhere, right, it probably will take you to a place called nowhere. It'll be a very expensive ride because you'll be driving around and around and around, and you don't know where you're going.
That's why you have to be specific.
You got to have a goal, right? I'm going to Santa Monica Pier.
Yes.
So, you go a straight line, you get there, you pay the Uber, and you're done.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with life, right? A lot of people are just driving around, and they're driving around not knowing what they want, and time goes by, and years pass, and they end up not getting where they wanted because they don't even know where they're going.
It's like sleepwalking through life.
So for me, it was that. It's like, what do you want in life? Set your goals, personal goals, fitness goals, monetary goals, whatever, right? All a bunch of them. And I've done this exercise every January. So go celebrate New Year's Eve, wake up the next day, sit down with a journal and write down my goals for the year. So once I start putting all that in writing and I have all those journals with all the things, you go back and read the few years before and you realize, oh my God, I have this car and I've been there and I traveled to this place and I made this money, and then, you start realizing and you start keeping track, and that keeping track lets you to strengthen your faith even more because now you know that it works. So now you just need to adjust the goals, And I have an amazing story, actually. I was going back to Bolivia to visit my family, and this was the first year that I was going to make close or $1 million in commission, which was a big deal at the time. And, still a big deal now, but it was a big deal for me at the time. And I remember always wanting a nice Rolex, right? And I wanted to buy a Rolex, and I wanted to buy a Rolex for my wife. And I said, whatever I make past $1 million this year, and it was September or October, I think I was getting pretty close. Whatever the amount of money that is after that, I'm going to use that money to buy a nice watch for myself and one for my wife as a Christmas gift. And that was it. That was the intention. So, but November hit around and we're about to go to Bolivia, and I wanted to go with my watch, and I want to show off my watch to see that I'm successful, at the time. I mean, I don't even wear watches anymore because that time of having ornaments to show that you're successful for me in my life has passed.
Yeah.
So I don't even have them anymore. But at the time, it was an important milestone for me, is to go back and say, hey, I made it. I have a nice watch.
So you wanted to buy a watch just to show off?
No, I wanted to buy because I actually like them and I used to collect them.
Yeah.
And but I wanted to go back, and it was a symbolism to me that I made it and I'm successful and I'm good at the time. So I remember getting close to that holiday and about to go to Bolivia. I didn't want to wait to know at the end of December if I hit the goal and how much money was left. And I just kind of got carried on a little bit, and I just went ahead and bought 2 watches, and bought one for my wife and one for me. And went on my vacation, came back, I think it was January 15th or 20th. I sit in my office, I sit at my desk, and they send me the envelope with, your commissions, your sales, your tax information or whatever. And I looked at that, and I still have that piece of paper, and I'm looking in there that I made that year $1,021,000. And the $21,000 was the exact amount of money that I spent on those 2 watches.
I experienced the same before.
Yeah.
This is magic.
This is one of the many things,
right.
And
but when it's exactly
magic.
the number,
yes.
then you have to be precise.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you mentioned that Joe Dispenza is a close friend of yours.
Yes.
Wow, congratulations for this relationship.
Thank you.
Is he your mentor as well?
He's one of them, yeah. I mean, he's not a direct mentor because he doesn't have the time to mentor me. But when I see him and we talk, he shares information and advice. But it's a mentor in a sense where I read all his books and I do all his meditations and I live my life like that.
Do you have a mentor that supports you, like on a weekly call or?
I don't.
Sessions?
I don't. I mean, I think I have many mentors. Some of them are alive and some of them are dead. I think that a mentor doesn't necessarily have to be someone that you have accountability and you're talking on a weekly or monthly basis. But it could be Napoleon Hill, right? It could be a guy that spent 20 plus years of his life living with the most successful people at the time to understand why is these people so successful? What they do, what time they wake up, what they eat, how do they live life, how they express themselves, how do they talk, what do they do? And if he was able to live 20 plus years of his life collecting this and narrowing down all this information in a book, it's like, why wouldn't one you read the book? Why would not you read that book?
That's a very good question. But I think that a lot of people don't know about this book. People know about The Secret, but not about Think and Grow Rich. It's not about the money. I mean, if you're blessed to have the money, it's great. You can create it.
Yeah.
But about the awareness that you actually become.
Yeah.
And that's magic.
Yeah. When the book was written, the way what maybe he was thinking, at the time, and thought that was a good title. Maybe there wasn't a publicist that told him, hey, people are going to think that it's all about money. He just put that information in a book, right? And things have changed since then. If you read the book, a lot of the connotation in the book is for a male reader, right? Because at the time was him, his, he. So you need to pass that, right? And every time I teach this or I do the course a year, one of these closures that I do to, the females that in the class, like, don't take it personal. This book was written in a different time.
Yeah.
Now it's a different time. I think same thing with the title. He was talking about richness as a person. What rich can be to you doesn't need to be the same for me or for anyone, right?
Yeah.
Everybody needs to find what's richness to me. And that's what this book is about.
It's not only about the money and about the fame, right?
No.
Can I ask you, what are your routines in life? You just mentioned that you meditate a couple hours a day. I totally relate to that because when I meditate, an hour just flies like this. What is a meditation you do and the routine you apply in your life?
I start my day at 4:30 in the morning.
Are you one of them?
Yes.
Every day?
Every day.
Can I really believe this?
Sure.
So now you should actually go home and sleep, right?
Whether you want to believe or not, that's a choice. But yes, that's what I do.
You don't wake up every day at 4:30.
I wake up every day at 4:30. With a few exceptions, if I'm on vacation, if I'm going out late or whatever, it's not every day, but I can talk about 90% of the year I wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
Why?
Oh my God, this can be another podcast. And there's so many reasons why,
I'm trying to get the best information on this one already.
I think there's different ones. So I'll give you a couple that are very important. So through Joe Dispenza, I learned that anywhere between 3:30 in the morning and 5:30 in the morning, your brain is in the best state to meditation. The levels of melatonin and other chemicals that are in your brain are the optimal time for you to do it. But speaking in more simple terms, when you wake up at 4:30 in the morning and you sit down and you meditate, you haven't read your email yet, you haven't watched the news yet, you haven't gone drive your car and bitch about the guy that crossed you in front of the street. You've done nothing of that. You haven't go downstairs and your son woke up sick and whatever it is that life happens. So for me, because of my busy schedule and life and everything, besides all the scientific reasons why you want to be meditating at that time, is a time that is for me. It's a time where everybody's sleeping. It's a time where my phone is not ringing. It's a time where I can give that time for myself. So because if I don't give that time for myself, I cannot show up into the world with the best version of myself. If I wake up and I roll from my bed to look at my phone and read those emails, which not every email is pleasant, I'm going to have a complete different day than if I wake up in the morning and I prime myself by doing an hour of meditation from 4:30 to 5:30 or 6 o'clock if I extend it. Sometimes it happens, like you say, you get into meditation and you just want to stay there sometimes.
Oh, yes.
And then after that, I go to the gym because I also believe there's a lot of reasons why, and all the chemicals that get released and the endorphins that get released when you work out. I'm a very active person. I'm healthy, and I like to, we are here for a small period of time, and we are, we all gonna die, right? Eventually, right?
Die. Yeah.
So if you're given this body temple, if you're given this physical body, why don't you want to take care of it to have a best experience while you come to this transition world, right? So I like to take care of myself. So that time for me of meditation, that time for me to go to the gym are very important. And once I come out of the gym is the time that I turn on my phone. I don't look at the phone until 7:30, 8 in the morning. And what that does to me is I had time for myself. Through meditation, I download information, or I just quiet my brain. Through exercising, I feel healthy and I feel full of energy and positive. While I'm working out, normally I'll listen to a podcast or audiobook, learn something new. And by the time I get home and I turn on my phone and somebody calls me with maybe not so pleasant call or not so many good news, the way you look at it and the way how you take things are completely different. I mean, that phone call, it won't affect me as much as if I just woke up to the phone call, right? So that's my routine, I go on my day. I like to take time off for lunch. Maybe that's a Latin thing. I gave up the siesta, but I do respect my lunch time. So I like to go and have lunch and just be at lunch. I don't like
That's
to be...
That's your first meal in the day? Your lunch?
Yeah, that's my first meal. I practice intermittent fasting.
I thought so.
Yeah. So my first meal is at lunch, and I like to focus on my lunch. I don't want to sit and eat on my desk while I'm looking at my emails. I don't want to sit and having a conversation on the phone while I'm eating, because I think you need to be present in everything you do. Eating is a sacred thing for me. I enjoy the food. I enjoy sitting there, and it's a break. Continue to my day, and by the end of the day, go back home, be with my family, cook sometimes when I'm allowed or I have the time to do it. Mostly on the
What means
weekends.
when you're allowed? Because the woman takes care of the food?
Yeah, not that they allow me or no, but it's when I have the time to do it, and also when I feel like doing it, because to me cooking is fun. It's a stressful thing and takes your mind off of it. So I really enjoy doing it, and I like to take my time to do it. And a lot of times in the weekdays it's not possible. And the way I end my day is also with meditation, or a lot of times I prefer to do the visualization at night. So I don't really watch TV. I don't have cable. I have Apple TV to watch things that I choose to watch, but I during the week really don't watch it. I'm really into biohacking. I want to learn how I can extend years of my life, healthy and enjoyable years. So I do a lot of stuff. And one of the things that I just learned recently is that the blue light is not good for you. And
the phone?
The phone, the TV, none of those things are good.
They even do like moisturizer now with anti-blue light.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
No, I
something.
have sunglasses. I have glasses with the red glass,
light?
red glass or whatever, plastic, whatever it is. I bought them from, Dave Asprey has this company called True Dark, I think, and they sell them in there. So I wear that most nights for about 30 minutes to an hour before I go to bed. So if I'm watching my phone or I need to look at something, I'm being protected already. So because the blue light, what it does is shuts down the release of, you have a circadian rhythm, right? So when you wake up in the morning, it's very important that you actually see the direct sunlight for at least 10 minutes. If it's a cloudy day like today, 15 to 20. Because that sends a message and releases stuff in your brain that clock starts. It's like a timer that starts. When you look at that light, your circadian rhythm tells you, okay, you have 13, 14, X amount of hours, and then you need to start getting tired.
Oh, that's interesting.
But if you go at night and you start watching TV, your brain keeps thinking that it's still daytime. So you don't release enough melatonin to have good sleep, or you actually don't rest. Your body doesn't rest, right? So I do that. Also, I think if you, before you go to bed, are going to be watching a movie or you're going to be watching something, that's going to be the last thing you had in your brain. So when you go and sleep and you go deep in your subconscious mind, whatever the last impression was in your brain is going to play some sort of influence on what you're going to be, thinking when you sleep, or your subconscious is going to be picking up on that information. So that's why I like visualization, because if I can visualize where I want to be or what I want to feel or anything that you want to visualize, because visualization is not that, tricking your brain that you're already there, but you're not, but your brain doesn't know the difference. This has been proven scientifically with athletes that they run the race before they run it in their brains, and all the muscles that they get activated in the race, they actually get activated while they're visualizing. So if you can do that actually at night, that's also another hack, I think, for your brain. So I like to do that. So that's kind of like my routine.
That's also so important that you never go to sleep with a bad emotion.
Correct.
Only good emotions. And then you can create that in your subconscious mind with your visualization.
Yeah. And oftentimes
So what do
something
you do?
happens.
What do you do actually when you feel bad? When you visualize, you try to clean it out?
There's a lot of times that something bad happen. There are things that can happen in your life that you can just sit down and visualize your future and get into it. I'll be lying if I tell you that every night I sit down and visualize and I feel great. There is days that you just can't. And when there's those days, it's okay. It's okay to, not get into the full-on positive visualization, but you need to have a conscious decision of saying, that was today. I did the best I could. I'm not feeling great right now, but I'm going to release it, and I know tomorrow will be a new day, and the night's going to bring peace to me, and I just go to bed that way.
Sometimes when I'm in trouble, I only visualize the outcome because all the steps between, it gives me a headache.
Of course.
And I'm like, I just surrender. I surrender. It's too much. It's just too much of energy. Yeah.
That
surrender.
Is the word, surrender. I'm actually getting a new tattoo with that word, surrender.
Really? I think now that I'm close to 30, because I'm turning 30 next month, now I know what it means to surrender. It took me 30 years.
Yeah. Some people go through a lifetime without being able to do that, right?
That means trusting the process.
That's faith.
That's faith.
Right? And the how is not our job. You just need to know where you want to go, what you want in life, and trust that it will happen and do what you're supposed to be doing, right? And then just wait. A lot of people get hung up trying to figure out how is that going to be possible. And the how could be something completely different. The universe, God, the source, the higher self always finds the fastest, easiest, most efficient way to deliver your goal. If you get hung up on trying to figure out how it's going to happen, that's when the frustration comes in.
But it took you 20 years to have like a 4 billion
sales.
Yeah. It took you 20 years.
It takes time. That's
right?
a lot of real estate. It takes a lot of time to sell that. I think for me, I'm continuing to grow, and I'm looking forward to learning more and grow and continue to grow and read more books and go to more seminars and learning more what's out there.
What do you do in season of waiting? In the waiting season, because it's going to come, but you're not patient enough, and you start questioning yourself and everything you do.
Correct. Well, but that's what the mind does, right?
Or is it just human?
It's human, of course.
Yeah.
We have a mind that is been formed for thousands of years, and there is genetic and DNA codes that are recorded in you that makes you do things that were practical back in the day, but they're not now, right? So, and that's when all these books and everything is important, because you need to learn how to control your mind. I'll give you an example of how mind really, plays with you, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I like to do to show my mind who is the boss is go to the ocean in the middle of winter or whenever it is here and jump in the ocean, right?
No, you don't.
No, I do. So there's two different things for me, right? So things are not going well. I feel like the energy is not flowing. I feel like things are like this, and you are in the process of the waiting, right? And things are not showing up, and actually they're actually not doing well, which makes you to believe, and that's a trick, right? The mind's trying to trick you because the mind acts in survival. That's what it does. But we can be in survival constantly. You can be pressing the gas constantly. Something's going to snap. Something's going to break. Like when a deer is being followed by a tiger or whatever, the fight or flight kicks in for 10 minutes. And after either, we got caught or not, after that, the deer's going to go back grazing again like nothing happened. And that's how it's supposed to be. But with how life is these days and the stress and everything, we live on that fly fight constantly. So you can be living like that. You can, that's where disease comes in, right? And all this stuff. But so when I'm not having a good day, and my assistants know this, and people that know me know this, if I'm like really frustrated and things are not flowing, and you just learn to feel the energy, whether it's flowing or not. And if it's not flowing, for me, number one, the ocean is the largest living organism in the world, right? So you go and jump in the ocean, you're connecting with the biggest energy that is out there, right? And it cures you. I mean, the ocean is, for me, medicine. So that's number one. Two, it's cold. So I don't care how frustrated, how in bad mood or whatever you are, you'll get in the ocean and you'll snap out of that feeling quickly, right? Mm-hmm. But what's interesting about it is I jump in the cold water in an average of 2 or 3 times a week. I've done it for many years. And if tomorrow I wake up and I decide to go in the ocean, I can tell you exactly how it's going to go down. You get to the beach, take off your shoes, and I start walking towards the beach, and my mind starts telling me, what about the sharks? There's stingrays. It's cold. Maybe the water's dirty. What if you get sick?
All
You
the
don't want
obstacles.
to... Everything. You don't want to get a
Obstacles.
cold. What if you get a cold? This weekend you have a dinner. You have a birthday party. You don't want to be sick.
And excuses.
So every single thing that
Yeah.
is there, it starts popping in your mind in those literally 15 seconds that you're about to get in the water, right? And for me, it's almost like a little battle that happens for a little bit until I get to the point where I'm going to jump in the water. And I'm like, okay, all that's great, but let me show you who is boss here. And I just jump in the water. So that has a meaning to me. The meaning is I am the commander of this ship. And it's not the mine, it's me. And I'm going to tell you what's going to
But
happen.
who is you?
It's me, it's Santiago. You
But
know?
who?
This
It's not your mind, so who are you?
is my soul. Is my essence. Is who I am, you know? And the mind is a great tool that I use in my life.
How do you feel if you have this gut feeling for a thing and you're not following this feeling?
Now, these days, I do not do that. I learned that the gut feeling is the one thing that you always need to listen to.
The compass of your
Is
life?
your compass, is your guide, is your higher self. And if you learn how to listen, you listen it louder, it will be present more, and it will guide you through your life where you'll learn how to live that way. And you'll know that you are protected. You'll know that you're going in the right direction. You know that you're making the right decision. All you need to do is listen to that gut voice, gut feeling to go through life. Everything's going to be okay.
It's the shortcut, I guess.
Yeah, I can call it that.
I love it. Wow, I could talk to you for hours, for sure. Funny thing is that you told us now that you're not watching TV shows and anything on in.
I watch some TV shows. I just don't watch cable.
Okay.
I don't.
Because you yourself you are on a TV show called
Beverly Hills, yeah.
Buying Beverly Hills, yes. And I think it's very famous, in Europe, like all this selling Sunset, selling OC and everything.
Yeah.
And it's a TV show.
Correct.
So you are a very spiritual person, I know. How real are you on this show? It is entertainment industry.
Have you watched it?
Not yet, but I will. Only
Okay.
8 episodes. I already I checked it on Netflix before we met, and as you don't watch TV shows and cable and so on, I don't have time for that. But I will
Right.
definitely do it now that I know you, because I want to
You don't
see the
have to.
guy on the TV show. Is that the same guy?
Yes, you'll find that I'm the same guy. And,
Okay.
And that was one of the main things for me to agree to want to be in the TV show. And I think that TV is that, On TV, you have an opportunity to present yourself in the way you are or not. And for me, it was very important to be me. And you can watch a show and shoot me a text and an email and let me know what your opinion is.
I definitely will, because I know that sometimes you need the extra drama for the audience.
Absolutely.
But
There is
the end-
definitely drama there.
Yeah.
But you can choose to be involved in the drama or not. And,
Yeah.
That's not what I chose.
Yeah, I wonder what the show will give me of a perception of you,
I'm very curious to know.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I think you're really an amazing guy, and you
you.
showed us that the power of your mind can lead you wherever you visualize yourself to be. So 20 years ago, have you imagined yourself to be here where you are today?
20 years ago, no. 16 years ago, yes.
Oh, very precise.
Yeah.
What happened that day that you know that it was
You
like
know,
16 years ago?
That was the time when I started to visualizing my future. That's the time where I started setting the goals, the long-term goals, where I knew where I was going to be. And, you can be very precise, and it happens really, really close to what you want, if not exactly.
Do you think that you visualize for yourself what your gut feeling is telling you is the right thing for you in this lifetime?
I think that you visualize for yourself what you want, and that can change because you also change. So there's been a lot of adjustments on what I wanted and where I wanted to be and stuff like that. But for most part, the direction of sort of where you wanted to go still is the same. It's just with a few adjustments. It's like golf. You can play golf and you adjust the ball and the angle on how you're going to hit the ball by millimeters, but in the distance it becomes miles, right? So or whatever. I don't play golf, so I might be giving wrong things. But the point is that in golf, you can adjust the angle a little bit, and then the distance will be a lot greater than what that adjustment is. Same as in life, you don't need to make big changes. People think that, I need to change completely careers. It's not really that. It's like you need to make little shifts in life, to get very big different results. So the gut feeling, I don't think is something that will give you the idea of what you want in the long term. I think that the gut feeling is going to be your daily guidance of what you need to be doing and whether you are on track or off track.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that now listening to this inner voice is so powerful these days because we were taught to think differently and to listen to the big crowds. And now a lot more individualism is coming out of each one of us. And I think this is a beautiful time to create who you truly are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Santiago.
No,
it was a pleasure talking to you. I can't wait to see the show. I can't wait to see you growing even more to sell your 8 billion sales in real estate. I really wish you the best.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I wish you also good luck on your new goals and endeavors that you have in life. Thank you, humbly, to have me here. I really enjoy this. I enjoy meeting you. And I love talking about this, and I love sharing my personal experience, and hope that whoever is listening to this finds one thing that they can use in their personal life, and that's the way I feel the energy comes back to me.
Can you just give me one good advice for the listeners and for the world out there? What is the best advice you've ever heard?
I don't know if I'll be able to tell you what's the best advice that I heard, but if I have to tell something right now, is to listen to yourself, listen to what you really want. Live life without fear. If you can live life without fear and start to paying attention to that guidance that we all have, that's when the magic is going to start to happen. And once you encounter and you find that, is an incredible, rewarding feeling. And once you start living your life like that, which is called the creative process, you're going to enjoy life a lot more.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. World, that was a beautiful podcast. I know I was different today than usually because actually I'm very loud, But that was a very deep topic, and I really wanted to give you the full attention because I need that. I want to listen to this podcast 20 years from now and be like, yes, this guy told me this is a meaningful information,
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here. So thank you for your support. Please subscribe and share this podcast and think of Hello World. This is just the beginning. And I know that 2023 will be an amazing year for all of us. Thank you for your time, for your energy, and see you hopefully soon.
I hope so. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. And if I need a real estate agent, I will definitely call you.
All right, that'll be great.